Yo, this is Deontay the Bronze Bomber Wilder, and you're watching Dante's Boxing Nation, baby.
Hello everyone, welcome to Dante's Boxing Nation. This is your host, Keith. Dante gave me the opportunity to post extra content on his platform, so I'm grateful for that. Feel free to subscribe to my channel on the description box below, and while you're at it, subscribe to Dante's Cooking and Travel Nation, and let's get straight to it. So we all know that Errol Spence versus Terence Crawford is the fight that everyone wants to see. It's probably the biggest fight in boxing. Either that or Deontay Wilder versus Anthony Joshua at this point. But unfortunately, we're not going to see that fight anytime soon because Errol Spence has an upcoming fight with Shawn Porter. Meanwhile, Crawford might fight Kell Brook next if Amir Khan doesn't snatch him up. But the question is, how are we going to get that fight to be made? Because on one end, Bob Arum talking about Haymon doesn't exist. He's just a fictional character. Haymon does not want to see Errol Spence fight Terence Crawford. Bob Arum also said if that fight doesn't happen next, let's boycott PBC. I guess we should have boycotted Top Rank a long time ago when he didn't let Gamboa fight Lopez, and when he kept using the Floyd Mayweather name to promote Pacquiao and then let that fight happen till the end of Pacquiao's career. I guess we should have all boycotted Top Rank then, if we go by what Bob Arum says. And on the other hand, you got the PBC. They got easy fights to make, like Errol Spence versus Shawn Porter, like Errol Spence versus Keith Thurman. Significant fights, actually. I mean, if you think about it, if Keith Thurman fights Pacquiao, the winner of that fights the winner of Shawn Porter versus Errol Spence. That's a pay-per-view fight right there. I mean, at least that fight will at least do 500K pay-per-view wise. I mean, that's a huge fight. So you can see why PBC ain't rushing to make the Crawford fight, and you can see why ESPN might want to rush to get the Errol Spence fight because they got no options. I mean, what, they gonna wait till Crawford gets out the contract? Because Crawford doesn't have significant opponents that signed with Top Rank. Meanwhile, Errol Spence got all type of options from 147 to 154, like a Hurd fight, to 160, a Canelo fight that Canelo actually wants, surprisingly. So at the end of the day, Errol Spence has options. Crawford doesn't. So of course, Crawford gonna want the fight more at this point and right now if you can. And Errol Spence says he ain't scared of nobody from Nebraska. But let the people tell it. Let Bob Arum tell it. He gonna say that we should boycott PBC. Like I said, Bob Arum is the last person that need to be saying stuff like that because we should be boycotting him, to be honest. And Terence Crawford should be the one who want to boycott Top Rank the most for not giving him the Pacquiao fight. At first, we all thought it was Pacquiao ducking, but then Bob Arum came out talking about he didn't want to see that fight happen because he knew the results. I mean, ain't you trying to build your fighter though? Like, let's not act like Pacquiao would have got completely smoked, because Pacquiao could still fight. I mean, he would have lost, yes, but I don't know if he would have just got killed in the ring. I mean, he probably would have got stopped eventually, but that's the worst case scenario. But Bob Arum talking about he don't want to see that fight. But look at who Pacquiao fighting next. Keith Thurman. You think that's an easy fight? He fought and beat Adrian Broner. But Bob Arum didn't want to give that fight to Crawford and then give Pacquiao the money he deserved for that fight, because at the end of the day, Pacquiao should get paid for that Crawford fight. I'm sorry, that's an ass whooping. That's a retirement type of ass whooping. So he should definitely get paid at least $15 million to $20 million. I mean, I don't care what nobody say. That would have been a huge fight regardless. But Bob Arum didn't want to guarantee him the money, and he didn't want to build his own fighter. And Terence Crawford, to be honest, that was a mistake he made by signing or re-signing with Top Rank due to that. I mean, you saw Floyd Mayweather, he left Bob Arum to make the Oscar De La Hoya fight happen, because Oscar at the time wouldn't work with Bob Arum because he knew how Bob Arum works and his tricks that he has up in his sleeve, so he didn't want to go through that. So Floyd Mayweather got out of his contract and left Bob Arum and made himself a billionaire after that because of that move. But Crawford, on the other hand, he made a huge mistake, and I'm sorry, but this is the truth. He made a huge mistake by re-signing with Top Rank, because at the end of the day, Top Rank doesn't have no welterweights. They all fight for PBC, so you could have easily went to the PBC side and got signed by, or you should have signed to Haymon, to be honest, and he would have been getting any kind of fight he really wanted. I mean, the Danny Garcia fight, the Keith Thurman fight, the Errol Spence fight. Then nobody could avoid him. Nobody could use the excuse he's on the other side. And I'm not saying Errol Spence is, because Errol Spence do want the fight. I'm talking about Keith Thurman and Danny Garcia and Sean Porter. I don't think they won that fight, to be honest. But as far as Crawford himself, he re-signed with Top Rank and Bob Arum, and he has to give up, I believe, 8% of his purse of every fight to his old promoter, because they the one who put him on Top Rank, so they will always make money off of him, 8% of each fight if he stays signed with Top Rank. So that should have told him right there, hey, I need to get out of my contract. On top of that, you got somebody who you can't really trust like that, because Bob Arum out here, he has the #1 pound-for-pound fighter in the world, which is Terence Crawford. We all know that. Every interview, he bring up Lomachenko. It's like, bro, Lomachenko is not fighting Crawford. Even Errol Spence caught up to that. Everyone is catching up to that. ESPN, the network itself, instead of promoting Crawford, they out here promoting who's better, Lomachenko or Crawford. Look, Lomachenko is not finna fight Crawford. He already said from his own mouth, Crawford is the #1 pound for pound. So why y'all keep bringing up the fact that Lomachenko is right there with him? No, he is not. Lomachenko himself doesn't believe he's the #1 pound for pound. And if he does, prove it. Crawford already challenged him to move up. They could do a catchweight at 137 at the time when he was fighting at 140. Lomachenko fights at 135 right now. That's only 2 pounds away from 135. And Lomachenko said absolutely not. Matter of fact, Lomachenko ducked a Pacquiao fight. So at the end of the day, Bob Arum keep promoting Lomachenko. ESPN keep promoting Lomachenko instead of Crawford. Even on his own pay-per-view, Bob Arum didn't give Crawford the fight he should have gave him, that he owed him, which was a Pacquiao fight, because he cared about Pacquiao health and safety, and he let Pacquiao go. But you re-sign with that guy. On top of that, your old promoter takes 8% out your contract. So, like I said, it was a huge mistake by by Crawford and his team. That was a huge mistake by their part by re-signing with Top Rank. And due to that, they have to take the short end of the stick as far as even the fight with Errol Spence. Once Errol Spence fights Sean Porter and then gets the Keith Thurman fight, because I'm going to tell you right now, he is not finna fight Crawford right after he finds Sean Porter, in my opinion, because PBC would be dumb to let that happen, because then at the time they're gonna have to give Crawford a higher percentage. But if they let Errol Spence beat Sean Porter, then beat Keith Thurman, he's the A side for sure. Matter of fact, Crawford wouldn't even be the B side, he'd be the C side, just like his initials, because Errol Spence will have 3 belts at a time. He will be the bigger name. He will do way more as far as the pay-per-view numbers. He already did 400K versus Mikey Garcia, and people can't say it's because of Mikey Garcia, because Mikey Garcia, when he fights some other fighters, he won't do no 400K. I promise you that. When Errol Spence fights, however, he will do those numbers versus Keith Thurman. He will do these numbers versus his mandatory. He still will sell out a small stadium. He will still sell out 15K as far as tickets. He still sell out in New York, no matter who he fights. If he fights Keith Thurman, like I said, he will do huge numbers. If he fight Pacquiao, he will do huge numbers. If he fight Crawford, they will do mega numbers. So at the end of the day, Errol Spence is fine regardless. So he will be such an ASAA versus Terence Crawford, and Errol Spence already stated he should get 60 and Crawford should get 40, which is fair right now. But then if he gets the Keith Thurman fight and the Shawn Porter fight, I mean, that's a 70-30 split right there to his favor. And Bob Arum already came out and stated that he wanted a 50-50 split with Errol Spence if he gonna make that fight happen. And that's the offer he want to send, which is completely BS, and it's not gonna happen if that's the case, because we all know Errol Spence is the A-side. And that's another reason why I believe Bob Arum, if he truly wants to fight right now, is due to these reasons. Is because he wants to get a high percentage split while he can. Also, use the Errol Spence name just like he used Mayweather name for the longest to promote Pacquiao, to promote Crawford. I mean, common sense. But the only difference here, I think he believes in Crawford more than he believed in Pacquiao back in the day. He believes Crawford could probably beat Errol Spence. I don't think he ever believed that Pacquiao could beat Floyd Mayweather at the time. That's why he didn't want to make that fight at all. He was just talking. But now he really is pursuing it, and if it does happen, then he like, forget it. Why not? Because he do believe in Crawford. But like I said, at the end of the day, this is not the way to make the fight happen, by shitting on PBC, by saying, oh, let's boycott. I mean, how am I supposed to do business with you when you out here talking shit about me? He's not talking shit about the fighter. It's not like the fighter is talking about another fighter and he's talking mad trash. Nah, that's not what's happening here. The promoter is talking shit about another network that he's trying to make business with. He's talking trash about Haymon, but he want to make business with Haymon. That don't make sense. Like I said, that's childish play. Ain't he like 80 to 90 years old? Bob Arum should be way more mature than that. That's not how you conduct business. But obviously, Bob Arum doesn't want to do business. He just wants, he wants Haymon. He wants PBC to get offended and have a cold war where the fight don't happen, so he could to keep making money off Crawford using Errol Spence's name. But like I said, at the end of the day, he's gonna want to build it up to a point where all the fans gonna want to see it, and when it does happen, even if he get a short end of the stick, it will be enough money for him to be happy. But till then, y'all can't blame Errol Spence for the fight not happening. Blame Bob Arum. Like I said, y'all should have boycotted Top Rank of Bob Arum a long time ago when he didn't let the Gamboa versus Lopez fight take place, which was an in-house fight, when he didn't let the fight between Floyd and Pacquiao take place because he didn't want the fight. Even Freddie Roach admitted that when he didn't let Pacquiao fight Crawford because of Pacquiao's safety. It's not like Crawford, it's not like Pacquiao retired after that and he gave him and he does what Haymon does and give him smart investments where he could retire while being comfortable. That's not what happened. He went to PBC and he fighting killers out there. Adrian Broner is a good fighter. Keith Thurman, layoff or not, he already had a comeback fight, and Keith Thurman is a killer at 147. Unless he fighting Errol or Crawford, then he's a threat at 147, especially to a Pacquiao. So, no, he did not look out for the health of Pacquiao because Pacquiao still out here doing his own thing. He just didn't want Crawford to beat him. It looked like to me. I mean, it's sad, but hey, Crawford should have knew better. He should have not signed to Top Rank. If you the equivalent or the closest thing to Floyd Mayweather right now, why would you not follow his footsteps? You're already pound for pound number one, just like Floyd was at the time. But Floyd Mayweather left Top Rank to make the Oscar De La Hoya fight happen. Crawford should have left Top Rank. He didn't even have to leave Top Rank. His contract was up. All he had to go just to PBC, or be even a free agent. He don't even have to sign with PBC. He could have used Haymon to his advantage and use his knowledge and wisdom and his connection. Maybe sign with him. And like I said, he would have been in way better position than he is now. And he would have been making way more money than he is now. So, like I said, that's a mistake by Crawford and his team. And he got to live with it. But Bob Arum, if anybody should be boycotting anything, we should be boycotting Top Rank and Bob Arum, because Dante himself got an interview with Bob Arum, and Bob Arum said when he got asked by Dante, hey, would you ever work with Haymon? He said absolutely not, and walked out the interview. So that same guy now want to work with Haymon? You telling me that same guy who sued Haymon for $100 million for booking arenas ahead of time due to his busy boxing schedule that he got going on, and you turn around and you want to work with that guy? Man, karma a bitch, man. I'm telling you that. Of course they work with each other on the lowest scale, but on the highest scale it's hard to work with each other due to different networks. But when it's a lower scale, then if I'm a promoter and I got a fighter that's a upcoming prospect and I could get him a title shot, but the title shot will be on a different network, then why not? I'm benefiting out of that if my fighter could win. But when it's a big scale fight, that cannot happen. But if Errol Spence becomes a mega star and Crawford doesn't grow, even though Crawford is a star himself, but if Errol Spence becomes a superstar, then hey man, maybe PBC gonna want Crawford to come to their network and make that fight happen, possibly on Showtime pay-per-view instead. But I doubt ESPN will let that happen if Crawford still got a contract where he has to fight on ESPN still. So we'll see. But at the end of the day, Bob Arum coming out saying that he wants to make the Errol Spence fight doesn't matter, because Errol Spence already said they haven't even received no offer from Bob Arum, even though I heard he sent an offer that was 50-50, which is silly by him to send an offer like that, because like I said, knowing Errol Spence star power and pay-per-view numbers that he just did with Mikey Garcia versus the pay-per-view numbers that Crawford did with Amir Khan, I mean, you tell me what's the split should be. At least 60-40, because one fighter sold 400 pay-per-views, another fighter sold less than 150. So at the end of the day, subscribe below if you're trying to get smarter by the minute. If you're trying to get dumber by the second, don't listen to these casual ass fans, or listen to Bob Arum or Eddie Hearn or somebody that's out here throwing lies left and right. But not over here. All we talk about is the truth and nothing but the truth. Peace.